Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Davina clinical psychologist, life coach, and spiritual practitioner. Thanks for being here with me today. Today I want to talk about healing shame. Shame is something that comes up a lot when I'm working with clients. And shame is such a toxic emotion because shame basically says that it's the emotion that says that something's wrong with you, that you're deficient, you're broken, you're bad in some way. And it's like, it's not that you did something wrong, it's that you are something wrong. It's not that you made a mistake, it's that you are a mistake. It is a very, very toxic experience that is cultivated. It's programmed into people from when they're young. And it can be you know, through well-meaning kinds of things. I'm going to give that the benefit of the doubt, but, well-meaning kinds of programming that's meant to help people be moral and make good choices and be good people. The problem, however, though, is that it doesn't make it clear what the difference between bad actions are and bad people. And so when someone makes a mistake or is flawed or, does something that's not the doesn't take the best course of action the first time around, there's an internalization that that person is bad and unchangeable. And so it's very detrimental to a person's well-being, and it keeps them from changing or growing, or it makes them feel like they are imposters. That even if they do something good, that it's not really who they are because they're really bad to the core. Um, Back in the day, a really wonderful author, John Bradshaw, who was a recovering alcoholic, wrote an incredible book called Healing the Shame That Binds You. And there was a whole PBS series on this, John Bradshaw and the family, and taking a look at family systems and where shame comes from. And in his book, he talks about how to cure toxic shame. So I kind of want to talk about that today because, again, this is something that if we don't heal our shame, we can't grow, we can't change, other people can't grow and change. And toxic shame is what takes people back to bad relationships, bad behaviors, the cycle of addiction, because there's no relief. When you are ashamed of yourself or you are caught up in toxic shame, the only relief you can get from it, if you don't heal it, is to, abandon yourself to addictions, to escape and try to escape through, numb out through addictions. So we want to heal toxic shame. So I want to talk about some of the case steps that John Bradshaw mentions in healing shame. And this is the kind of work I do with my clients to help them move out of shame as well. So the first thing is to acknowledge the existence of shame. Step one, acknowledge the existence of shame. Acknowledge that shame is there and that there's a difference between healthy shame, which guides us to make good choices, right? We feel embarrassed when we, lose our temper, and toxic shame, which damages our self-worth and makes us feel worthless. Again, like, hey, I made a mistake versus I am a mistake. You can acknowledge your mistakes, but if you are a mistake, you just retreat and nothing changes. So you want to acknowledge the shame, you want to cultivate healthy shame and address toxic shame. The second thing is becoming aware of yourself and doing inner child work. So understanding where this toxic shame started, where did it originate? And often it originates, John Bradshaw says, in childhood. We have unmet needs as children because our parents were neglectful or abusive or overly critical. We were in systems that were toxically shaming, like, for example, indigenous people who were taken from their home and raised in, boarding schools, church boarding schools. They experienced toxic shame. They had unmet needs as children, wanting to be with their parents, wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted. And that wasn't a part of their upbringing, and that created toxic shame. So if we grow up in a home where there's substance abuse, where there's physical abuse, where we're neglected, because our parents either didn't, they came from abusive homes or they didn't learn how to parent. That's where toxic shame can begin. And so we want to address our childhood wounds so that we can heal. So we want to, basically do inner child work. That's a whole another thing to look into, but basically it's having a relationship with that wounded inner child and helping sort of reparenting ourselves. The third step is having compassion and self-acceptance. When you've grown up in a home with toxic shame, there isn't compassion. There isn't like people aren't allowed to have flaws. They're not allowed to be vulnerable. And so we learn to be embarrassed of ourselves and ashamed of ourselves instead of feeling resilient in overcoming things. So we want to start to develop self-compassion, and that can be developed through self-talk. Hey, you know what? It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to spill the milk. It happens sometimes. It's all right. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You did a good job, but next time, you can do better. Or you know what, you didn't study hard enough for that test, but that's okay. You were busy, you were doing other things, but next time, let's make space and make sure we have time to study. So it's a way of being compassionate for yourself, accepting your flaws and vulnerabilities, but nurturing yourself, encouraging yourself, not just shaming and blaming yourself. The fourth step is breaking the secrecy and the silence. So shame thrives in secrecy. So secrets that we have, things that happen to us, things that we're doing in hiding, we want to step out of those. Those are kind of like shame cycles, and we want to step out of those. We want to go into support groups. We want to go to therapy. We want to talk about the things that happen to us and get those secrets out of the closet, so to speak. And we want to stop doing things and hiding things. So again, being able to share our feelings, share our experiences, share the abuse that happened to us, share our dysfunctional behaviors, and break those patterns. So Alcoholics Anonymous, Codependents Anonymous, Debtors Anonymous, things like this, any sort of support group, so that we're not alone with our troubles and we're not alone with our secrets. And working a 12-step program that's a lot about getting rid of the secrets, addressing things that we've done, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, making amends, and moving forward. The fifth step is reclaiming personal power. So we need to set boundaries. One of the things that happens when we grow up in a toxic shame home or environment is that we take abuse. We allow people to talk to us in ways or treat us in ways that just create more shame and make us feel worthless. So having boundaries, taking responsibility for our lives, not allowing people to treat us in an abusive way anymore, not just taking it. And also knowing that our worth is separate from our human doing. So we are human beings, and our worth comes from our existence, not from proving ourselves, not from external validation, not from our achievements. So that's really also a lot about, I would say, self-love, loving ourselves for who we are, just as we are, and reclaiming that personal power. And finally, the sixth thing that Bradshaw talks about is practicing forgiveness. And I write a lot about forgiveness in my book, It's Never Too Late to Be Yourself. It's one of the themes of my novel, Behind Barbed Eyes. And forgiveness, all of the spiritual teachers will talk about the power of forgiveness. Obviously, in Christian theology, Jesus talks about forgiveness and how important forgiveness is. But in the Four Laws of Spiritual Prosperity, Edwene Gain talks about forgiveness as one of the ways to, increase your financial resources. That when we don't forgive, it holds us back from receiving. Colin Tipping, who I really love his work, Radical Forgiveness and Radical Self-Forgiveness, talks about the power of forgiveness. So I'm kind of popping onto another subject there, but forgiveness is really, really important, and it frees us up. So forgiveness of ourselves and forgiveness of others, and letting go of anger, of guilt, of resentment that's tied to shame, because unforgiveness keeps us stuck in the past. Unforgiveness keeps horrible feelings in our bodies, resentment, and unforgiveness keeps us from moving forward with our lives. And as it's said, it's like, unforgiveness is you're mad at somebody and you're taking the poison, right? So you want to stop doing that. You want to forgive. It doesn't mean forget. It doesn't mean allow people to walk on you, but it does mean to begin to forgive and let go, and move on. And one of the things I love about the Colin Tipping work is that it looks at, like, what can I learn from this experience? What is the learning that can occur from whatever happened to me? And again, it's not that victim blaming, but it's like, what did that experience teach me that I can learn and grow from? How can I help others with what happened? So forgiveness, extremely important. So I'm just going to say those one more time. Healing shame involves acknowledging shame, self-awareness and inner child work, self-compassion and self-acceptance, breaking the secrecy and silence of what has experienced, what you've experienced, what you're ashamed about. 5, reclaiming personal power, and 6, practicing forgiveness. And by engaging in these processes, Bradshaw believes that we can transform toxic shame into self-awareness and growth, and allow us to have more authentic and fulfilling lives. And I absolutely agree with him. Only thing I would add is, again, more self-love, the practice of self-love, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves. This is going to overcome that toxic shame. Again, I highly recommend this book, Healing the Shame That Binds You. I highly recommend, if you're struggling with shame, with addiction, that you reach out, you join a 12-step program, you find a therapist, you find a therapy group, and you get yourself support. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to continue to be under the influence of toxic shame. You can break these patterns. Again, I want to say that this is a channel that talks about how to, insights and guides to improve your mind, body, and spirit. This channel is not a substitute for medical advice or medical care. It's not a substitute for psychotherapy. It's just an opportunity to share with you some psychoeducation, some teachings, some books, reviews of things that can support you. But again, it is not a substitute for medical care. It is not a substitute for psychotherapy. And this channel does not, we're not having a therapy relationship by you watching this video. So I just need to put all those disclaimers out there. All right. But again, if you want to make some positive changes in your life, the John Bradshaw work is great. You can check it out. You can probably find those videos on John Bradshaw and the Family from the public broadcasting, NPR, whatever it is, by Googling that, looking that up, searching that. And especially as we, I'm recording this during the winter, so the holiday season, and holidays tend to bring out and activate a lot of toxic shame. So this is a great time to prepare yourself, but any time is a great time to work on your self-healing and healing the wounds of the past. All right. Again, if you enjoy this content, please like this video, please share this video, please subscribe to my channel, and check out some of the other videos. I just did a video on havening, which is about self-soothing. You check that out. There's also some other mindful moments videos that you can check out on different meditation practices that can help you with relaxation and sleep. And again, thank you for watching. All right. Have a great day.